Here we are, video 3. So we left off talking about why do they follow, but now let's talk about this moment. All right, now this character, this number 1 character, has to make choices, has to make specific choices. If we think about Abbott and Costello, right, both of these guys were characters. Both of them were characters. Neither of them, especially as they got older, right? Your number 1 did not have a Juilliard voice. This was a cranky voice. This was a tired voice. This is a voice that had been through the ringer. This is a voice that had been worn down so hard by the dummy, right? So frustrated over the years. So you got to make a specific choice. And when you're working with your partner, you want to make a choice that can be mocked, that can be burlesqued. Burlesque is a verb. That can be mocked by your broccoli, by your number 2, right? So if I'm really puffing myself up, turn, walk, 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 walk. I didn't talk about this before, but the shelf of pride, right? Take your hand, put it right under your nose, put your chin on it. That's the shelf of pride, and look down on everybody from that shelf of pride, okay? So if you're really making specific moves, that gives your number 2, your lower status clown, so much to work with. That's number 1. Give them something to play with. If you give them nothing, if you think, oh, I'm the high status character, that just means I get to be a regular human and they're going to be the comic, it's not going to work. You got to give them something to play with, all right? Then you can rehearse it. And they can say, oh, if you did it like this, then I can make fun of this. Give them what they need, right? Set it up, let them knock it down. That's the first thing. The second thing, especially when I teach this to young people, or even if I teach it to college students, right, or adults who don't have a lot of experience with this, the number 1 will walk so quickly, they just boom, that there's no time to let anything happen here. There's so much that can be found here. There's unison movement that can be found here. There is all the burlesquing and the mocking that can happen here. There is finding complicity with the audience. If I'm following, right? We're not breaking a fourth wall. There's no fourth wall to begin with. There is no fourth wall. The clowns and the audience exist in the same space. So as much as we're talking to each other, we're also talking to the audience. We're doing both of those things. And that becomes very, very important. Very, very important. All right. So we want to make sure that you're partnering well. When you find games, right? When you find games together, remember that you're not playing to win. Oh, I taught a series of workshops with some very amazing physical performers. Some of whom were athletes as well as really wonderful performers. And I worked with somebody who, and he knows this story, he remembers, he was just naturally such a competitive person that when we got into game-based work, he would not let up. He was going to win. And that doesn't work. Because when he held on so tightly that I couldn't get in and do what I was supposed to do, and then the audience didn't get the satisfaction of seeing things turn over, and we could then move on to the next thing, that means the audience loses. So you're playing together so that the audience will win. That's the way game-based performance works for this stuff. All right? So when you're the broccoli, take the time. And when you're the banana, give the time. Give your number 2 the time to be funny, right? Let them get as many laughs as they can. And then as soon as you feel them dying, that's when you swoop in and you take it to the next level. All right? The best thing the banana can do is be still. Stillness. Give time. So always look for those opportunities. The third time, before I do those checks, I always connect with my audience. This is the third time. Stay here. Don't move. Hey, you watch this clown. Watch this clown. You make sure they don't go anywhere. You make sure. And as soon as I turn around, this one starts to take a step. The leg comes up, and the kids are, which is why I turn around and why this character snaps back, right? And then we get a moment where the broccoli, the number two, gets to check in with the audience. It's like, hey, why you treat me like this, right? So there's all of this, so many opportunities to connect with your audience. So we're pre-fourth wall. We don't break the fourth wall, because if you break the fourth wall, there needs to be one. The fourth wall didn't exist until the 1860s at the earliest in France. All right? And then in Germany, they broke that really fast. It was like maybe 60 years later. Maybe. All right? Bertolt Brecht was like, we're out of here. Extra human. Think about animals. Think about machines. Think about babies. Think about small children. Think about people who live on the fringes of society. All right? Oh, I hear McGee the Wonder Puppy might be coming to get me. All right? So these are all huge. Escalation, right? We don't just want to repeat. We want to escalate when we're doing this. So when we're escalating, maybe we're going to bust a vein if you're the banana the third time through, if you're the number one. All right? But that means you got to start relatively small. It's not, you stay here right from the beginning. Start small so it can grow. You don't know, as the banana, you don't know that you need to get hard and heavy until they haven't listened to you twice. So escalation. Then let's talk about this moment of a little bit of stage combat. All right. So you got to be careful with this. It takes less than 15 pounds of pressure to remove a human ear. All right. So I used to have the Francois Fratellini hair, a little unicorn horn of hair, which I can no longer grow. So I would sometimes, be yanked around by the hair. Don't yank by the ear. Not a good idea. If you have a costume piece, when I teach it to children, what I have them do, right, is, so the banana's over here. So the banana just had a surprise. Great moment of losing your hat. I've got Velcro hair today, and it's a tight hat. But you toss your head back, you'll lose your hat. There's something you can do. Use your costume, and then dust off your hat. That's great. The broccoli can laugh at you, right? Finding these things, establishing that character dynamic. But so you got to walk to the other side, and then all you're going to do is you're going to reach over and just take their shirt and lift it. Just lift the shirt. And then this character is going to tilt their shoulders, and that they're in charge of moving. They wave the arms, ow, 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 or however you want to deal with it. But you're always in charge of your own body. Always in charge of your own body. Always in charge of your own body. Always. Always, always. All right? Otherwise, it looks like violence. And I don't think violence is funny. Even slapstick violence, right? Not my cup of tea. That's subjective, but it's important to me. So I learned this from Andrew Scharf, right? Great Ringling style clown. Boom. Tilt those shoulders. I'm just holding on to that person's shirt. That's all I'm doing. And then they're in charge. And I just go with them, and it looks like I'm just, hanging them out to dry. All right? The other thing is you need to do something that can be repeated by the number two at the end. All right? So if you're doing something complicated, it needs to be able to be done and be seen by the audience. Because if you're not playing for the audience to win, it's not going to work. Alternate stillness and dialogue with movement and silence. If you're going to talk, do all your talking over here. And once you start doing this, just do the physical stuff. If the words are important, stand still. If the movement is important, shut up. All right? I mean that kindly. All right. it looks like I'm going to get one more video out of this, and this is where I ask some questions about how we might make this relevant again for the 21st century. I'll see you in video number 4. Thank you.